Some battles are fought on grand stages, under bright lights and roaring crowds. Others start quietly in the front yard of a sleepy town over something as simple as a rose garden. My name is Ben Hayes. I spent most of my life serving others, soldier, governor, neighbor. I thought I'd earned a peaceful retirement. I thought wrong. When the new HOA president tried to steal my home of 50 years and erase everything my late wife and I built, I realized something. Some fights you don't walk away from. Some fights come to your doorstep, and when they do, you stand your ground. Because home isn't just where you live, it's where your story is written. Colonel Benjamin Ben Hayes had spent his entire life serving his country, commanding troops, building peace from chaos. But in retirement, he found solace in simpler battles like tending to the rose garden he and his late wife Eleanor had nurtured for nearly 40 years in the quiet seaside town of Redwood Shores, California. Every morning, Ben would kneel beside the soil, the ocean breeze rustling his gray hair, carefully trimming the roses Eleanor once called whispers from heaven. It wasn't just a garden, it was a living memory. That morning, as he wiped dirt from his hands and sipped lukewarm coffee from a chipped mug, a sharply dressed woman marched up his front walkway. Madeline Carter, the newly elected HOA president, clipboard tucked tight against her tailored blazer, radiated the kind of authority Ben recognized instantly, the dangerous kind, power without wisdom. "Colonel Hayes," she barked, not waiting for an invitation. "Your rose bushes exceed the maximum allowed height under the new Homeowners Association regulations. You're in violation." Ben raised an eyebrow, amused and cautious. "New regulations? I didn't receive anything about that." "We updated the bylaws last month," Madeline said crisply. "Digital notice was sent via email. You must comply by the end of the week or fines will be imposed." Ben chuckled softly, the kind of laugh that had once unsettled entire war councils. "I don't do digital notices, Miss Carter. You'll have to bring me a letter like civilized people." Madeline's eyes flickered with something harder than annoyance: calculation. "As you wish. But non-compliance will have consequences." Ben watched her retreat down the driveway, heels clicking like gunshots against the pavement. He frowned. Something was wrong. This wasn't about roses. Later that afternoon, as Ben sorted through his physical mail, a habit he maintained with religious precision, he found a letter that made his stomach twist into a knot. Eviction notice. Effective immediately. Your property at 14 Seabreeze Lane is under review for transfer of ownership to the Redwood Shores. Homeowners Association, due to non-compliance with updated digital registration policies. Ben's hands trembled slightly, not with fear, but with rising fury. He owned this house outright. Bought it with his own hands, paid every tax, fought every battle to keep it. Eleanor had died here among these walls filled with laughter and memories. No HOA form, no slick. Clipboard Queen was going to steal it from him. Without hesitating, he called his oldest friend and neighbor, Peter Dawson, a retired city surveyor who had lived 2 doors down for decades. "Pete, something's happening. Something bigger than garden regulations," Ben said, voice low. "You're not the only one," Pete replied grimly. "Got a notice this morning, too. And guess who listed my house for sale online?" Carter Realty Group. Ben stared at the sunset, bleeding over his garden, a deep, slow anger building inside him. This wasn't bureaucracy, it was war. And they had just declared it against the wrong man. Ben didn't waste time. That evening, he and Peter spread every document they could find across the worn oak table. In Ben's study, deeds, tax receipts, HOA agreements, paper records Eleanor had insisted on keeping, bless her cautious heart. Every page screamed the same truth. Ben Hayes owned his property, free and clear. Yet somehow, Madeline Carter was maneuvering to steal it. Peter pulled out his tablet, his fingers flying across the screen. "Look at this," he said, turning it to Ben. "My house, your house. 4 others, all marked as under review in the Redwood Shores HOA system." Ben leaned closer. Every home had something in common: owners who were either elderly, widowed, or living alone. Easy targets. Digital transition my ass, Ben growled. This is a coordinated land grab. The next morning, Ben drove to the county records office. It was there. He met Rachel Morales, a sharp-eyed clerk with a kind smile and a background in real estate law. When Ben explained his concerns, her expression darkened. "Sir," she said, tapping furiously at her keyboard, "there's something wrong here. According to this database, you voluntarily transferred your deed to the HOA 6 months ago." Ben shook his head. "I signed no such thing." Rachel frowned, pulling up a scanned copy of the supposed transfer form. "Here's the kicker," she said. "The signature date is June 14th. You were at the Veterans Parade that day. I saw you give the keynote speech." Ben's gut twisted. They were forging documents now. Rachel lowered her voice. "If they've altered the system at this level, it's bigger than just your neighborhood. You need proof, real proof." Ben nodded grimly. "I know just the man." That night, in the dim light of his garage, Ben met with Noah Whitman, a 22-year-old cybersecurity whiz who had once fixed Eleanor's ancient laptop for free. Noah was quiet but brilliant, the kind of kid Ben always believed would change the world if given a chance. Within hours, Noah hacked into the HOA's secured internal files, uncovering a hidden trove of data. Property ownership transfer. Templates, pre-signed and undated. Emails between Madeline and board members, laughing about how easy the old-timers were to trick. Listings ready to go live for properties that hadn't even been legally seized yet. Then came the bombshell, an offshore account tied to Carter Property Group receiving monthly deposits, suspiciously aligned with each reacquired home. Ben stared at the screen, heart pounding with righteous rage. Madeline wasn't just a petty tyrant. She was running a full-blown real estate racket, laundering stolen homes through fake HOA violations and bogus digital records. As Noah printed out copies, Rachel called. Her voice was tense. "Ben, heads up. I heard from a friend inside the county office. Madeline's calling an emergency HOA meeting tomorrow night to finalize corrections to the database. She's trying to make everything official before anyone catches her." Ben hung up the weight of decades of leadership settling on his shoulders. He had led men through wars, negotiated with enemies in hostile territories, but this fight for a small town's soul felt more personal. Tomorrow night, Madeline Carter would try to bury the truth. Ben intended to bury her scheme instead. He looked over at Eleanor's picture on the mantel, her smile lighting up the room even now. "I'm not just fighting for my home," he whispered. "I'm fighting for everyone you loved." The Redwood Shores Community Center was packed that night. Every folding chair filled every corner, buzzing with whispers. People who hadn't attended a single HOA meeting in years now leaned forward, eager for a show. Ben Hayes stood near the back, flanked by Peter, Rachel, and Noah. Tucked under Ben's arm was a thick, leather-bound folder, their weapon of truth. At the podium, Madeline Carter tapped her manicured nails against the microphone, basking in the room's attention. "Tonight," she announced, "we finalize adjustments necessary for the betterment of our neighborhood. Certain outdated properties." Her eyes locked briefly with Ben's, a smirk curling her lips. "Require reassignment to comply with our new digital standards." The room stirred uneasily. Ben waited, letting her dig her own grave a little deeper. "And now," Madeline continued, flipping through her glossy binder, "I'll read the list of non-compliant properties. Transfers will be recorded immediately." "Hold it right there." Ben's voice boomed across the room. The crowd turned. Ben strode forward, planting himself at the center of the floor, folder in hand. "Before you transfer anything," he said, "I believe the community deserves to see the full picture." Without waiting for permission, Ben opened his folder, pulling out copies of the forged deeds, offshore transactions, and internal emails Noah had uncovered. "I present undeniable evidence," Ben said, voice unwavering, "that Miss Carter has been systematically committing fraud, stealing homes, falsifying records, and laundering the profits through her personal company." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Madeline's face twisted into an ugly snarl. This is a lie. A smear campaign orchestrated by an angry old man who— You mean— Rachel interrupted smoothly from the back. An angry old man with notarized documents, time-stamped video evidence, and a federal investigation to back him up. Ben smiled grimly as the double doors burst open. In walked two federal agents, badges flashing, accompanied by Officer Reyes from the local police. They moved swiftly to the podium, placing Madeline under arrest for wire fraud, conspiracy, elder abuse, and real estate racketeering. "You can't do this," Madeline screeched as they cuffed her. "I own this community." "No," Ben said quietly, locking eyes with her one last time. "You tried to steal it and you lost." The agents led her away, her designer heels scraping against the tile like nails on a chalkboard. The room sat in stunned silence, broken only by Peter starting a slow, thunderous applause that quickly spread throughout the crowd. The rest of the corrupt board members slipped out through the side exits, faces pale. Ben approached the podium. He didn't need a microphone. His voice carried the way a lifetime of leadership had taught him. "This isn't just about my house," he said. "It's about all of our homes, about the trust that was broken, and about the kind of neighborhood we want to rebuild together." People stood, many with tears in their eyes. Neighbors once divided by petty fines and HOA harassment now felt united again by a simple, powerful truth. Community is built on trust, not control. The next morning, Ben knelt once more in his rose garden, the ocean breeze whispering through the newly planted Eleanor's Light rosebush. This battle was over, but the future they were about to build, it was just beginning.